Okay, okay, I think we're live.
Cool.
Okay, so you guys wanted to see Declan in a video. So what I'll do is I'll show you Declan.
Yeah.
He's right there. Uh,
Hello.
and so Declan, what's been happening with you so far?
I got lost in time.
What do you mean by that?
It was a joke.
I know.
Got Doctor Who on my mind.
Yeah, I can tell. So you're still keeping up the nerdiness.
Yes. You can't get rid of your nerdiness. You can only embrace it and let it consume you.
Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time playing
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect and Halo, embracing our inner nerdiness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, how many times have you complete Mass Effect?
You know what? I think I lost count after like because we went to we definitely saw at least two of the endings, didn't we?
Yeah. Because we tried to complete, because there's an achievement one thing to complete it 10 times, something stupid like that, or whatever it was. But I think I was on 10 and you were on 11 times. See if I
Yeah.
complete the quickest, and oh my word, every time I complete it, I'd start it again. Oh, that was it. Because when you replay the game, you keep all your stats, so you can try and get the ultimate weapon or armor or whatever it was. So upgrade, but you have to keep leveling and leveling to reach max level. That was it. You have to get to the max level for.
Yeah.
Fly.
I mean, it was a long time ago. We were playing so much back then. You know, I think we were essentially trying to make up for lost time.
I think, yeah, 8 flies. 8 flies. Ram with wasp. I can't tell if the wasp or not. Not a wasp.
Mate, if there's a wasp, there was a moth in my room the other day that was like the size. I can't even kid you. It was the size of my fist. It was like that, and it was in pitch black darkness. Like it was awful. I was having to track it with my squash racket. It wasn't fun.
Oh,
So
no.
so yeah. After I mean, people don't really know what happened to you after Rhodes Farm. So what happened?
Where do we begin? So, yeah, left Rhodes Farm, went back to school, all was well for a while. But the issue is when I left Rhodes Farm, I didn't fully recover. I don't believe in fully recovering. There's always someone down the line that's going to bite you in the bum. And my issue was when I left Rhodes Farm, I got binge eating. Never had it before, never had it when I was anorexic or anything like that. I had binge eating. Now, obviously, a binge, but I didn't purge. That the idea of being sick, no, I didn't correlate with me. I couldn't do it. No. So I just binge. Now, my real big binging one was, you remember when we went to Alton Towers with BBC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first real one that I could kind of recall and remember. That was my first episode. Now, when I left Rhodes Farm and went back to school, that was in the background. It only happened on very rare occasions. It wasn't like a continuous thing. It's only like on a weekend after being out with my friend having a few drinks. Obviously, it's when I was 15, so I shouldn't really be drinking as much as I did.
Yeah.
But
The
obviously,
orange squash, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, so I obviously thought that I was hungover and just needed some food inside me. I only assumed it as that. Now, I then started to see that actually it wasn't that. It was kind of taking over my life, and it got worse and worse. So obviously, I did bodybuilding and weightlifting when I was in
Yeah, I
school.
remember that. Some of the pictures you were posting a while back.
Yeah, so I loved it. I absolutely loved doing weightlifting and bodybuilding. It was amazing. Obviously, since I trained hard and ate a lot at that age, I was fine. But then I wanted more. I wanted sweet. I wanted sugary stuff. I wanted takeaways. I wanted pizzas, and obviously I could have them in my life, but I wanted them in ridiculous size quantities.
Mm.
So obviously I'd binge, and then it got to a point where I'd come home and I'd binge, and I'd go before I go to bed I'd binge, and I started putting on weight, and obviously just recovering from anorexia or getting over that stage in my life, jumping onto that as a still the mindset of someone who's anorexic. But obviously most people who do binge, they purge. So you've got that form of release.
Yeah.
I didn't. So I'd have all that inside of me, and I have to wake up in the morning and go to school feeling just as bad as I did that prior when I binged.
Yeah.
So obviously it started making me really depressed, and got to a point where I tried to kill myself. Didn't work, as you can tell. Unless I'm a ghost speaking to you now, then
I think everyone's going to be glad that didn't.
yeah.
I mean,
So obviously,
I can imagine it must have been it must have been a very difficult time.
yeah, it was. It was bad because you didn't really have anyone to speak to, and therapist wise, the crap you don't understand. They never have done. You try and tell them you've got an eating disorder. For me, my binging was like an addiction. I
Yeah,
had to do it. I had an urge to just like drink, but obviously it wasn't drinking. It was binging and eating, and they couldn't correlate that. So when I said it was like an addiction, it was a drive that I had to get rid of, an itch. You couldn't understand it, so you just kind of pushed me off the next week. And their form of therapy was rile me up to the point where I'd burst into tears and get really angry, and then send me home. That was their therapy. That's apparently what was going to help me, and it just actually got me really pissed off to the point where I'd go home, I'd binge, I'd punch something, I'd get really angry, and then just lock myself away. Now, when I tried to kill myself, I then didn't leave my room for 5 years. I didn't really leave the house. I didn't leave. I didn't socialize. Only on occasion. To go to get my hair cut, it would take me about 2 months to get myself ready and capable of going out to get my hair cut. So from paranoia, depression, social anxiety. So I couldn't leave the house. It was horrible. So I didn't do much. I just gamed. So I didn't go to college. Didn't go to uni. Purely because I just drove myself to insanity, really, and just locked myself away. So I lost all my close friends that I had in school. I lost touch with, and now I try and find them now. There's a friend of mine who I can't find to save my life. I can't get in touch with her. One of my closest friends, Joe, I see him rarely on occasion we bump into, so we need to get something done again just to build those bridges I kind of destroyed myself. And it's goodbye.
yeah. I
If
think
you didn't know what I was doing, I did like a kick. I did like a kick goodbye. But obviously, you can't see my legs, so it kind of just fails the dramatic point of the kick. So yeah, so that was kind of that, and then obviously a few things came up when I was. How old am I now? 22. I'm 22.
You're pretty old.
Well, I'm 24.
One
I
minute.
ask you for help, I don't even get it. Thank you.
I think I'm 23. I'm 23. So
Yeah, I'm 23. So
yeah,
thank you. Thanks,
mate.
thanks,
As soon as I hit 18, like I just stopped counting. I always have to calculate how old I am.
Yeah, I always forget. I always think I'm a year older than I am. You laughing for? You thought I was 22. She put Taylor Swift's 22 song when I turned 22. The first thing you hear when you wake up with 22 is Taylor Swift's song 22. Thank you. So yeah. So the thing that helped me recover was that mad one up there.
So yeah,
I went to.
So who is that one, Declan?
That mad one is Emma, my fiance.
Really?
Yes. So weird one. I went to a dentist to get my teeth checked out, and obviously it took me months to get this done. It was in February. I went for my birthday. Amazing enough, I had a bit of confidence around that point, so I knew I was aiming for it. So it was my birthday. I thought I'd go get my teeth checked out, and she's a dental nurse trainee, and she was on reception at that point. She's there, and obviously I didn't look up. At that point, I always looked down at my feet. I didn't look up. I didn't look at people. I could keep to myself. But amazing enough, I had to look up at this point to see if I was being called, and I looked up and just saw Emma there behind reception, and that was it. I had to know more about her, so I kept going back to the dentist, build up enough courage to try and find out what her name was. Eventually, I asked a member of staff what her name was, and we just went from there.
What was that?
I pretended I knew her from school.
I see.
That way, because I think I know her. What's her name? What's her name? And it's like, oh, Emma Whitehead. Yeah. No, not a clue who she is. And, from there, been going. Would you say the word steady? I thought that's the phrase. We did watch Hairspray last night. And Chicago.
Oh wow,
So yeah.
wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you I think you came down to London for like a week or something, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
you were saying let's meet up, but then when you told me, well, when I found out what you were intending to do, I think I was like, 1 minute, I think I should leave you be for that one.
Yeah.
I think when did you go? You went to the Harry Potter studios, didn't you?
Yeah, went to the Harry Potter studios, went to see Phantom of the Opera. If you haven't seen
That's it, the
Phantom of the
Phantom of the
Opera,
Opera. That was it.
Phantom of the Opera, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then went to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, the Yarn and Albany, and that's where I proposed. York and Albany, apparently, and that's where I proposed. And it was lovely.
So I think, how did it come about? How did the proposal come about?
Well, I saved for a long time. I had a few bits of saving saved up. I got a ring, which you need. So if you're ever going to propose to people, get a ring. You do need a ring. Later. Okay. And then obviously we're in London, and I thought I was originally going to take us on holiday. We're going to go to Lanzarote, and I thought I'd do it there. But then I thought that's too obvious if she had any inkling. So I thought I'd surprise it in London. So we had the meal. It was lovely. Then I said I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I went to leave, and I called the waiter and I said I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. Could you record it for me? So I got the video recordings of it. So obviously, yeah, it had to be done. So he said he was going to take a picture, and all you've got is Emma saying, "Oh, should I stand?" And I'm like, "No, just stay there." He's like, "Oh, why? Just stay there for a minute." Obviously, she tried to ask what's going on. Get down on one knee, but so yeah, if you're gonna do it, get on one knee. You have to. Unless you're gonna do something weird, or you don't have legs, then you can do it without. Unless you're just gonna lie flat and then just look up. That's a dark joke. I do apologise.
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty much used to your dark jokes from the Xbox, like talking all the time. Yeah. But yeah, no, congratulations, man. When do you think the wedding's gonna be?
We aim for 2018.
Awesome.
17, 18. That's what I said. 17, 18. Gives us the time to save up, get a house first, and then just go from there. Live a bit, save up for a wedding, get married, live a bit, and then have some spawn.
Some spawn.
Tiny spawn, yes. I had the comic in my head. I had to get it out somewhere or another. You've never read Spawn? Read Spawn. It's great. SPAWN. It's really good. It's dark. It's bloody. But it's really good. Don't watch the film. The film is terrible. The Cape CGI is shocking.
Yeah, so you're very still much into your computers. What is it you're working on at the moment? Your job?
Oh yeah, I'm a service desk analyst dealing with knowledge management as well for Capita. We work for BAE Systems, who make submarines and defense weapons for the ministry and stuff like that. So we deal with the computers within BAE Barrow, NLO, which is New London office in America, Manchester, so pretty much loads of sites. It's good. It's hectic.
Yeah.
I love computers, so it's good fun.
Yeah,
How about you? What are you doing now?
So what was that?
What are you doing now? I know you're going to Australia or something at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to Australia next year. So that's gonna be for my clinical elective, where I essentially just get to spend like 7 weeks in a hospital there, which would be great. I've seen the people in the year above. Their photos on Facebook look amazing. And then at the moment, I'm just studying. I've literally every day I've been in the library. It's been great fun. Reading up on things like that just spanned 6 years of medical. It's just been so much stuff. And then eventually I'm going to take a massive exam, which, what do you think, as an exam that encompasses medicine, how long do you think that exam should be?
Well, it depends what part of medicine you're looking at. You're talking about the entirety of medicine from A to Z, or you're looking at a specific part.
So when I say that, I mean the whole of preclinical and clinical medicine in the form of a multiple choice question exam.
3 hours?
Ah, this is where you'd be wrong. It's an 8-hour blooming exam. 8 hours
Hours.
on a computer. Yeah, yeah, I know.
Is it non-stop?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's separated into loads of 30-minute blocks, and you can either choose to go straight on to the next block, or you can then decide to take a total of 45-minute break throughout the entire 8 hours. That's the only break that you get given. It's insane. Yeah, I know. I just look at your face. I can see it's insane.
Yeah, no.
But once I get that done, it essentially means that I've done most of the hard work, and then once I pass one more exam, which is a lot easier, but it involves me having to fly to Los Angeles, I'll have to do a practical exam there, and then I can become a doctor in America, which would be awesome.
So what's your practical exam, like a prostate test or something?
No, it's just literally everything. But yeah, I think I probably have to do something like that. It'll be on a dummy though. It won't be on a real guy. Could you imagine like some poor soul having to like be the prostate guy for I think like 30 people in a day? That would be somewhat traumatizing.
Yeah, but you'd find someone who'd like it and be a willing test dummy.
Yeah, that's dubious.
If my guy 27, he'd be everywhere. He'd spray it everywhere.
Dubious.
Exactly, yeah. Get a black light.
God, see, I miss this. I haven't spoken to you like this for a long time. Like I just like when we were 15, just always talking to each other on Xbox. It was great.
The thing is, I think your headset broke, didn't it? So we started calling by actual house phone.
Yeah, no, I remember having to put like an elastic band on my phone, and so that we didn't have to do anything while we were playing.
Boxes were best.
1 minute, if I can find something. One sec. Do you remember doing this?
Oh my word, that is old.
Yeah. So.
Oh my word.
So this is something we called Guitar Halo 3, and we essentially made this map where I can't remember who's who in this picture, but like on the left you've got the guitarist, in the middle you've got the vocalist, on the right you got the bassist, and the back you got the drummer. Like it was so long ago, but I just found it today, and I was like, oh my god, I got to show this.
That is brilliant. That is ancient. That's absolutely ancient.
Yeah. But 1 minute, we've been given quite a few questions. I think some of them have been answered by you already. But 1 minute, what's this thing about? So, in terms of your recovery, what do you think is something that impeded it?
The obvious one which impeded was Emma. I mean, without meeting her, I didn't really see a form of recovery at that point. It was just every day was a day. I mean, years flew. When you spend all your time in your room doing absolutely nothing, scared to go out, time just flew by. Sleeping pattern went to hell. I'd go to bed about 7 in the morning. I'd sleep till about 3, 4 in the afternoon. So I was technically doing night shifts for like 5 years. That's all I did.
You know, I do remember you being awake at very odd times. Yeah, it was yeah. So, I mean, what do you think was the main driver behind that?
In what sense? Why I stayed up late?
Yeah, like what is it that was going on in your life that made you feel like this?
No, it's just what I did in school, like try to kill myself. Just put me into a spiral. I just didn't want to. No, I didn't want to do anything. I just couldn't. I even though I fought and I tried to get myself back on track again. At some point, I thought, you know what, I'm making good recovery. Something then came around, bit me in the ass again, binged again, and set me into another spiral, even worse. And I just didn't want to sleep. I don't think I could sleep. I had to take sleeping pills at one point because I couldn't physically sleep, so I just stayed awake. These pills will knock you out. You take them in about 15, 20 minutes, you were gone.
Really?
And you just crawl yourself to your bedroom and just flop. But obviously, that then, if you keep taking them for a while, you put you in a weird state. You didn't really feel anything. You're so tired and hungover. You'd wake up and you feel you were hungover, which didn't do well for me. also there was something in the pills which helped put weight on. So at that stage,
Yeah, it wasn't
it
helping.
didn't really. No, it wasn't a good combination of the two. And then obviously when I was on antidepressant pills, they also put weight on. So them two together were friggin'. They were good.
No, I can imagine.
There's loads of medicine you can take in terms of like antidepressant and mood stabilizer that didn't do weight gain. But my therapist didn't think weight gain would be an issue. So she prescribed them, only to actually started reading into the side effects myself that weight gain was one of them. And that's why my weight was kind of going up and up at that point. Only until I told her, oh yeah, one of the side effects is weight gain. I'm a person who suffers from anorexia, who's got body issues and suffers from binge eating, and you didn't think that weight gain would be an issue.
See, I remember back when we were in Rhodes Farm, and I think some people were jokingly saying, you know, you've come in like this. How funny would it be if you then become obese when you when you're back at home? And it, you know, I think it's something that does happen, and I think what people don't seem to realize is that eating disorders aren't just like one entity. They are all inherently related to the root cause of anxiety, and that can then, you know, just result in anything, whether it be binge eating, bulimia, anorexia. And, you know, if you don't remove the inherent anxiety behind it, then, you know, that nothing can go forward really.
So, I mean, that was one of my biggest worries in Rhodes Farm. I'd come out of Rhodes Farm, and at some point I would, because when you suffer from anorexia, you don't eat. You know, you starve yourself. You try and restrict what you eat, and obviously, when you start eating again, the biggest worry on your mind is you're gonna get obese. You're gonna get large. You're gonna become the thing you didn't want to be.
So you're going to become the thing that your eating disorder didn't want you to be, though, isn't it? You know, you, the actual person inside of you, is actually at the back of your mind when the eating disorder has a hold.
So it was weird. So obviously, you're coming out of that thinking, "Nah, I'll be fine. But that biggest worry is you're gonna go down that spiral. It's the voice inside your head that doesn't want. You know, it's doing whatever it can to make sure you stick to that point where you are like 5 stone.
Yeah.
And it's a voice you're always going to have, and you're always going to fight. So when you start eating normally and start just being a normal human being who's not trying to worry about food, that voice is always there, niggling in the back of your head, just going at you, saying you shouldn't be eating that.
Yeah.
No. Eat that, you're gonna get fat again. And I haven't personally got rid of that voice myself. That voice is always there. I think it's always going to be there. I don't believe it'll ever go. I think I'll get to a point where I've got it under control. But if ever something ever happens in my life, or I don't know, I think we might come back, but I don't like to think that. I mean, I might hopefully, touch wood, be good for the rest of my life. But
no, I think that, you know, you've got a very positive thing going on in your life at the moment, and that will keep everything at bay. And if you can continue that, I think, you know, the eating disorder will become less and less in your mind. And I know that I mean, I've got other friends who, you know, they've become married and they've got children now, and the eating disorder, they say that it's still there, but it doesn't bother them, and they can continue living a normal life, which is great. It's really good.
Myself, yeah. I mean, I eat what I want now. I enjoy it. Now and then I do have the occasional threat and a bit of a worry. But I can pretty much do what I like now.
That's good. It's really good, man.
Yeah. But that voice, it's always there. It's always in the back of your head. If you suffer from an eating disorder or anything of the kind, you've most likely got that voice. You've most likely got it in the back of your head. It kind of tells you what it wants you to think, but it's not actually the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like being in school and you got that dick in the back of the class who's always chanting and doing stuff.
Yeah.
But no,
I think if you can appreciate that it is irrational and it's not the truth, then you can sort of try to ignore it and, you know, do what you actually want to do rather than what the voice is telling you to do. Yeah. And I think this relates to another question of what's the best tip to give to someone who, you know, is just telling someone to let go of an eating disorder. It's that, you know, you can't just let go.
no.
It's a voice. that is essentially a part of you.
Yeah.
And to just say to let go is to say to let go of part of yourself, which
Yeah.
it's really difficult, and it requires so much therapy, and it requires you to continuously beat at it and never sort of succumb to it again. And I don't think anyone who hasn't suffered, like if someone doesn't suffer from an eating disorder, they'll never truly appreciate what it means, and they'll never truly understand. So it can be almost impossible to describe something that is totally irrational to someone who has a rational mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like probably, that's why I think when you're dealing with a therapist who has never had an eating disorder, who doesn't really understand, it's going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to cope with or deal with. Personally, the best times I've had help with when I've had therapy was when I've been with someone who's also had an eating disorder. They can understand that state of mind you're in.
Yeah.
If you try and state to someone, I tried to tell one of my therapists, I've had loads, I've had absolute loads. And there was one bloke who was trying to speak to, and I said to him, there's a voice in my head that tells me things which I don't believe is true, but I begin to believe them. I believe it's true. I believe what it says. I believe what I see. Because since I've got like body morphic issues.
Yeah, body dysmorphism.
Yeah, I don't see what other people see. I always see it always completely opposite. So obviously, when that voice in my head tells me what it wants to tell me, I believe it wholeheartedly. Now it's getting to a point now in my life where it's like, actually, piss off. Don't believe it. But now it does bite me. Now, when you're trying to say that to a therapist, there's a voice in your head. Alarm bells ring, okay, and these start going around a track of, do you hear other voices in your head, and all that sort of stuff. And no, the voices I'm hearing at this point in time are myself, but it's not my thought process.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It's telling me things like, oh, you're fat, you're obese. If you eat that, you're gonna be massive. It's gonna hurt you, and you want to listen to it. Oh, don't eat that, and it's not you. It's always there niggling in the back of your head. And obviously you try and tell that to a therapist, you don't understand. Now, when I was speaking to one of my therapists who did have eating disorders, she was brilliant.
Yeah,
was really good. I mean, she knew exactly what I was trying to discuss. She knew from personal experiences. I know what you mean. It's not another person. It's not anything like that. It's just this irrational thought, this thought process, this voice inside your head, which has been created. It's the eating disorder sitting in the back that's just taking control, and it's just telling you things which aren't true. And it's just speaking of words, like the best time when I've ever had any form of recovery or therapy was in group therapy in Rose Farm, because we're all sitting there around a table or sitting in the chairs, and every single one of us had the exact same thing. We all had that voice. We all had that voice telling us what to do and what not to do, and it's special, If it was just one person, it would be kind of, you're crazy. You need to get checked out. But the fact is, it's all of us. And it's something you just need to embrace and just understand that it's not true what it's telling you. So to be able to just, let go, it's a tough one, because you've got to get to a point where you don't actually just let go. You begin to recover.
Yeah.
And you understand, like, actually, you know what? I'm at that point now where I need to recover. You'll get to a point in your recovery stage, or when you're going to start to recover, that hits you. Mine was when, as soon as I walked into Rhodes Farm, I knew I didn't want to be there. I knew I had to get better. And that's when my recovery began. I just knew. It wasn't of letting go, it was just beginning to eat again.
And I think it's just wanting to get your own life back. Because when I unfortunately relapsed and I had to go to hospital, the thing that was driving me was, I want to be a doctor, and I can't do that if I'm stuck in a hospital for the rest of my life. If it comes down to me having to, continuously battle it, I will do that for the rest of my life. But ultimately, I do want to get better. Yeah. And if you can get into that mindset, I think you'll find it a lot easier to first battle it. But then when you're further along the line, you'll find it a lot easier, and that voice will be way back in the back of your mind. The other question, you said you didn't want to be in Rhodes Farm. Did you ever miss Rhodes Farm when you
Oh,
left?
hell yeah. Damn right I did. It was brilliant. See, we when we were originally looking for somewhere to get me in, Wars Farm was always the one we wanted, because in terms of actual
Declan,
recovery,
you've stopped again.
rather. How about now? Hello? Declan, you've
Yeah,
stopped there now?
okay, you're back. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. So yeah, did you ever miss Rhodes Farm?
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, we always aimed for Rhodes Farmers to be my place where I got my recovery. Because you had the Priory, you had different places, but Rhodes Farm had like the best success ratio. You know, it had the best stories. Most people who came out of things like the Priory and stuff, or the one we were looking at in my area, they'd come out, but they'd be back in the space of 2-3 weeks. It wasn't really a rehabilitation. It was kind of just get in there, get food in you, and then get you out. Whereas Rhodes Farm had a complete treatment. You had group therapy, you had family therapy, you had the therapy by yourself. It kind of re-taught you things again. It was a community, it was like a family, and it was something that we wanted to be for where I got my therapy at. So obviously, when you're in there and you've got 15, 20 other people in there, all kind of your same age, going through the same things, it become your family.
Yeah.
So obviously, when we left, I missed the hell out of you and Warren, you know. So it's kind of like wanting to see you again. But obviously, we live on literally different
Other
parts of
parts of the
England.
country, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nightmare to actually try and stay in touch. But we did by gaming.
Yeah.
But obviously, I had my own issues, so I stopped kind of socializing with people. So I lost a lot of contacts in that point, and especially yourself, because we've only spoken briefly only on certain occasions for the last few years, and it's depressing. You know, you're one of closest friends. You're like a brother to me down there.
Yeah.
Even though if you did put my slippers in the freezer and stuff. Uh, but so yeah, I did miss it. I did miss the people down there, and it was good. And also, it was just different. You know, it's the idea of actually being somewhere where you're not necessarily in school. You're still doing your school stuff. You're still getting your GCSEs, but it's not necessarily the thing. It's like when you're in school when you're younger and you go on those like little youth hostel trips. You know, it was brilliant.
No, I completely relate to that because I remember when I got out, the first thing that I wanted to do was go back in because
Yeah,
it's a place where you can sort of release all of the control because you're
where
obviously not fully recovered when you leave, and it's a place where you can just release everything and they can do everything for you. You don't have to worry about meal preparations, and you don't have to worry about anything. You know, you've got a schedule to the day, so you're never actually bored. It was something that that sort of order is something that I missed. But then whenever I went home, as you said, you know, you've lost contact with your friends by that point, so it's quite difficult to retain that sort of social bit, and
yeah,
you know, that gets pushed aside. Your parents aren't exactly the best at preparing the meals and keeping on top of everything because they're not professionally trained, and you know, so that means you sort of want to, even though when you originally went there, the first thing you wanted to leave. But it certainly took a while for me to want to stay at home, and you know, I think gaming with you was great fun. It was something that I couldn't do when I was at Rhodes Farm. And sort of getting back into the swing of school because by that point we were in our sort of GCSE times, weren't we?
yeah,
So it was quite difficult by that point because you know we'd missed so much school already and we were having to get back to that. But there were things that slowly I was beginning to realise were better at home than were at Rhodes Farm, and it did take a while, but it was good that Rhodes Farm had that sort of aftercare thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for me as well, because I went back quite a lot, but it worked.
See, one of the biggest questions was, you know, when we did the I'm a boy anorexic.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest questions, I mean, on YouTube, the video, the actual entire thing's up there, except to a point, there's a part that misses. It's where I get weird and then it cuts because of the copyright of the music. One of the episodes had to be cut and removed off YouTube. So everyone's always asked what happened at that point. Just to let you know, if you've ever seen it, I did go back for like one day. So he wanted me back down in Rhodes Farm.
Yeah,
For
I
one
remember
day.
that.
So that was really good fun. Getting on an 8-hour train to London, staying in one night, getting weighed again in the morning, meeting the weight, and then coming back to Barrow.
Yeah, I remember that. Like you were pissed off. You weren't happy at all.
Damn right. Damn right, I was pissed off. Do you know who was showing at the canteen that night I missed?
Who?
Enter Shikari.
No way. No
I
way.
missed. Yeah, yeah. Cause
Oh
still
my
on the
god.
farm.
And
Yeah,
that, and that,
yeah.
yeah. Have you actually ever seen them live?
No. And I
Oh,
never will. That was when Enter Shikari was the best.
I
That's
think,
when it was like Motherships and Johnny Sniper. That's when Enter Shikari
yeah,
were
I think I
full on
better be.
screamo. And now they're all political. Yes, they're still just as good, but they're not the Enter Shikari that I grew up with.
Yeah, I think I better be quiet then because I certainly I may or may not have seen them live in a room with only like 20 people and it was amazing.
I know you did. I know you did. You're an ass. So yeah, I got to miss that.
But I mean, you're doing a lot better now, and I
I
think
miss
that's
Enter
the main.
Shikari. There's a point. There's a point when it doesn't matter.
But actually, that's another thing. With regards to the music that we were listening to at the time, that was something that I felt that was definitely helping us along. Don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, definitely music. Yeah,
Because
I'll give it a long.
so the kind of the bands that we were listening to at that time were like, Enshikari, Fight Star,
Like Chemical
um,
Romance.
My Chemical Romance. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lost Prophets as well. But I don't really want to talk about them now that what happened with Ian Watkins. And
Yeah, yeah, that was
that was horrible,
initiated.
man. It was horrible. But yeah, there were loads of bands that were helping us along the way, and it was great. And I mean, definitely for me, going to see live bands was one of the things that I loved doing, and that was another reason that sort of dragged me home because I was like, I can't do that when I'm in Rhodes Farm. And I remember it was almost every weekend I was going to see a band. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sort of benefit of living in London. You live in like the middle of nowhere where no one really wants to go and see.
We did have Enter Shikari. We had In Me. Their In Me are awesome. We've had Elliot Minor. You
Yeah,
meet not
Elliot Minor, yeah.
Feel for a Friend. And a few others. My Passion, who were awesome on Kerrang at one point. They were everywhere on Kerrang and they just stopped.
Yeah.
But no, we had a place called the Canteen. It's shut down now. It's a shame. And you used to have like live local bands come every like week and do awesome fun, screamo, rock out. It was good. And then I had the occasional big band that would come. But something happened to it and it just shut down. So you don't get those live acts anymore. You get the occasional Rat Pack in the forum.
Yeah.
Or some weird musical which no one really bothered about. But back then, you used to have like bands coming every weekend, so you knew what you were doing on a Friday, Saturday night. You were going to the canteen. You'd have a bottle of Red Bull that was filled with vodka, and you just get lathered, moshing away to some band. And now, obviously, if you watch the recording back, they were terrible. But because you were drunk, it was the best night you'd ever had.
I think you should at some point. I mean, yeah, we should definitely properly meet up and maybe I don't know.
Fight Star, they're touring again.
Yeah, they're touring again. I was thinking, like, yeah, just if you can come down to London at one point or come down to Cambridge, because a lot of bands come to Cambridge actually. They've got a wicked place there called the Corn Exchange. And I mean, if you come down, we can certainly do some sort of collaboration video again, and that'd be great. And then we can go and actually see some music, which would be awesome.
I'm working now, so obviously I got money coming in. I'm getting my own place soon, so things will be easier. So once I know my schedule and my rota, if I've got like a time when you're available as a band, which we both like, which is showing in Cambridge or something, I'll get that day off if it goes on the weekend, and I'll come down.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick. That'd be awesome, man. I think, I mean, those are most of the questions sorted. I think on that because we covered most of them just by talking, really. Oh, another one with regards to the inpatient Rhodes Farm. Is there any part of the program that you didn't agree with?
Ooh, tough one.
I have to say the thing that that sort of struck me was they put such a massive emphasis on refeeding rather than the therapy side of it, because I work a therapist and one family therapy session a week, which I know that a lot of people struggled with because they were having to get their family to come from all over just for like one session. And then the group therapy, which I remember that it was rubbish. It wasn't really that good.
No, we just messed about, really.
Yeah, and you know, in that sense, because such an emphasis was placed on refeeding without you having a good like therapy behind it, you weren't really prepared for the weight gain, and you know, you weren't feeling good as you were going along. That was something that was definitely bad. And when I went to the Priory last year, there was a massive emphasis on therapy. We'd have CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, one day. The next day we'd have psychotherapy. We'd have an individual therapist, and then we could have family therapy if we chose to. There was, I think it's called PT or psychotherapy that you could choose to do, and they sort of try to tailor it to you. And
that's good.
They also let you choose your meals as well, which I know are, you know, you try and choose like the healthiest thing on you. So you are a lot in that way. I definitely feel a lot more prepared when I left the Priory than when I left Rhodes Farm.
Yeah,
Rhodes Farm, it seems as though they're a safe haven for your refeeding rather than you know, you as a person. So you want to go back to Rhodes Farm, but then when you're in the Priory, they prepare you for the life outside of the Priory. So when you leave, you actually want to leave.
Yeah, I get you. No, that's actually quite good. That, I mean, I'll agree with you on that one, actually. When it came to group therapy, I live in Cumbria, and it's very far away from London, where we were in Rhodes Farm.
Yeah,
that was nice. If you trains 12 hours at a time. So obviously I had to get my parents to come down to do that. So they had to take time out from work and their jobs to get it done. And that was a nightmare, not only on their job, but financially as well. So you're kind of forced to go along with it to get that therapy to come down. And it was a nightmare. It really was. I'd rather would have had it more solo therapy and group therapy than family therapy, because family therapy never personally helped me.
Same for me. Same for me. It ended up just being an argument.
Yeah, it was. It didn't get anything done. Family therapy never helped. And that's not the issue about being the family or the family structure or getting that fixed. That's never been the issue.
Yeah.
It's always been myself and how I feel, you know?
And I think that's why Rhodes Farm should have sort of tailored your therapy to
Yeah.
who you are rather than what they think is best for you. The other thing that I didn't really agree with in Rhodes Farm was they used food as a sort of punishment. Do you remember, like, if you weren't eating well, they put you on something called stepping stones, where they would make everything condensed into a meal. So, did you remember? Yeah, I think, yeah. So, if you didn't eat the meal, which could be very balanced, they would give you a muffin that was just packed full of cheese so they could get the calories in. And if you didn't have that, they put it into a milkshake. You know, they were using it as a sort of punishment in a way, which I didn't really agree with. There was something else. It wasn't that good. And in order for you to establish a healthy relationship with food again, you want to sort of start liking it.
You see, the thing is, when you do that, you then start scaring the patients, and especially Warren, he was only a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And he had a high metabolism.
Very high.
Very high. So obviously he was like, what, 8, 9?
Yeah.
And he was having 3,500 plus calories, massive meal portions. It got to a point where he was eating that much, he was getting sick from it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that annoyed me about Rhodes Farm was everything was very high fat content based, which isn't going to be good. Isn't going to be good for anybody, especially at that age, you know? Having such high fat in your diet at that age, it's going to make you ill. It's not teaching you about food. It's not teaching what's good, what's bad, you know? But I believe everything in moderation. I eat what I want now without worrying about it. I haven't had, I don't know, cheese toasty in forever. Yeah, I'm going to have a cheese toasty. back then you were scared to have it because of what was inside it.
Yeah, they
So
would
you
they,
didn't
they
really
would
teach
pack
you that.
it.
And they would pack it, and then they would kind of say, right, you're not eating that, you can have this instead, you know? And that would then be, that would scare you because of it. It's like, why are they giving me that? All the calories inside it. It would make you worry. So I would make, because I remember when we were doing the home, when we went home, we got your diet all sorted and stuff, and we were saying what to do. And my mum and dad kind of went by what Rhodes Farm said, and he made me a cheese sandwich to get my calories all in a sandwich. And it was 2 slices of bread and completely packed with cheese and full fat mayo. And the tower was stacked. It was like that full of cheese to get my diet started. And that's what Rhodes Farm said. Now, obviously, if you got to talk to any nutritionist or doctor, if you're having that every day, that's going to mess up with your arteries, you know?
Yeah.
So they weren't right in terms of actual working on
Nutrition.
the diet.
They weren't good with nutrition.
Yeah, they weren't nutritionists. They weren't great at it. Now, I'm fine with having a massive stack of cheese because I love cheese now.
Yeah.
I love cheese. So I'm fine with that. But back then, you know, you weren't. You never had that training. We had one training session. So training one time where we'd sit with Dee in the classroom bit, just telling us about food and what eating disorders does to your body and stuff. And she stated every calorie is equal.
No.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, I remember that. What is it? A calorie is a calorie. Was her
A calorie is not. It isn't.
No, it's not.
You've got different structures and strands. So obviously, 4 calories of protein is equivalent to 1 gram of protein is what is it? It's 4 calories.
1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories.
Yeah, but it's all.
And they all have different functions. Like that.
Yeah.
So it's
so obviously she went into a calorie is a calorie, but actually it's not. I mean, if you ask a bodybuilder, all right, to just eat 3,000 calories of nothing but fat, they're not going to be bodybuilders, you know?
No.
Each thing, each food group, each carb, protein, and fat does its own specific thing, each function to help and heal your body. And that I was sitting there thinking, I was only 13 or 14. I think that's not right.
Yeah,
that's not right.
You don't have to be a doctor to know that's not right. And I mean, Dee's left now. She's retired, and the Rhodes Farm is completely different because I went back there to talk to like the patients there as someone who's come out the other end and is now in university and thing. And it's owned by someone completely different. I think it's under something called KUK. I'm guessing that the program might have changed as well. I don't know, but it's gone under massive changes. Yeah, it feels like such an age ago, and it's been 10 years, man. Almost 10 years.
Oh no, yeah, it's been a very long time. I mean, I think you showed me one of the questions, and one of them was like, "What did it feel like to be filmed?"
Oh yeah.
It was weird. It was really weird, especially when you started getting to a point where you'd come and be in the bedroom when you were asleep, or wanted to get up and then film you waking up. It's like, no. Yeah. There's a point in the morning, as a young lad, you'd wake up. There's things you're not meant to see. Might be pointing, you know. So it's kind of like, no, just give us 5 minutes just to relax, get loose, and then we begin the day. But it was weird. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I mean, you ask anybody that age, "Oh, going to be on a TV show?" It's
everyone would say, yeah.
It was in that, but obviously it was a different structure. Now, one thing I would have liked more of within that was how it actually was when the cameras weren't there. I mean, when the cameras are there, they're just looking at a specific portion of the day, or any day they can come in and shoot. Personally, they didn't see the days when I got pissed off and I got angry and I was shouting. They didn't see that. I mean, I think you might have been at home for that point.
I mean, they did give us a camera, didn't they? But I mean, obviously, when you're angry, the last thing on your mind is, I'm going to turn on the camera and film this.
What I think they should have done, they should have staged cameras around that. Just ran, and try to catch whatever footage they could. And for me, they just missed those parts. It was more light-hearted. Yes, it had some elements where people were upset or they got things out, but it was missing what it was doing mentally.
Yeah.
And it
I
should
think
have delved into that just a little bit more. But
yeah, the problem with all these documentaries is that they want to sort of create success stories and they want to make
yeah,
everything look happy. But in order to raise awareness, you need to show the downs. You need to show the.
yeah,
And I think there was one part of the documentary that I recorded after we were at Dee's house, and she sprung this thing on saying, "Because you've been exercising today, you're going to have this extra bit of cake." Do you remember that?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
as soon as I got back, the first thing I did was I'm going to film this, and they put it in the documentary because it was just full of anger, and I think it was the only reason why the documentary had to go on after 9 o'clock was because I swore in the video. That's the only reason. Yeah, so yeah,
I remember that you came back and you were fuming. You were absolutely fuming.
We weren't told about it.
No, I was out with a family because it was my weekend trip, so I didn't go.
Oh yeah.
So I came back and I was laughing at you. I was in hysterics because you had to have it, and obviously at that point I was out doing my thing, came back, and then you just got you fuming inside the little room, going absolutely mental. You got me and Warren just.
It wasn't just me though.
It wasn't just you, but you were amazing for it.
I was very angry. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You could get really angry at that because.
Well, it's something that she sprung up on us, and didn't give us time to take it in and make the choice of wanting to go out in the first place.
But maybe that's the whole point, though. Maybe that was just a test. Yeah. Maybe it was the whole point of. Sometimes
she was just evil. She was horrible.
She was just evil.
Yeah, she was evil.
Speaking of evil, though, one thing that really annoyed me is when people say they're out for breakfast, you're eating a muffin or something. They'd eat the food and then they'd tear a bit up and they'd drop it under the table.
Yeah.
Now, one of the worst things that annoyed me, especially when I first started there in Rose Farm, was if no one admitted it, everybody would then have to have the same piece that was found on the floor.
Yeah, again, punishment. Again, punishment, though.
Yeah, everyone will be punished to have it. Now, at that point, you spoke with me there. Everyone would then have to eat it until that person owned up. But most of the time, that person never owned up.
No.
The game of like Russian roulette, you'd sit around the table, everyone waiting to see who the first person is going to draw, and just go and take the food and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point where I was in the brown kitchen, and I ate it purely because people weren't going to admit it. Now, if someone at least just went up and ate it,
yeah,
everyone else could get off the table and leave. Otherwise, you're stuck there for hours until someone admitted it.
Mm. Yeah, just to clarify, just to clarify, the brown kitchen is the one where you're fully supervised. The other one is the blue kitchen where you're not supervised and you're eating with other people.
Yeah.
And again, with the blue kitchen, though, people were still doing that.
Oh yeah.
And
like in the bowls.
Yeah. And do you remember when I put a camera and filmed the meal?
You got so much crap for that.
But then it all stopped though. It all stopped. Like
it all stopped. Everyone was paranoid you were filming people.
Yeah, but like
they hated you for that.
Yeah, I remember. But it was beneficial for everyone in the end. I'm very much for the team spirit and things. So yeah.
That was brilliant. It was smart. It was smart, but they hated you.
Yeah, they did hate me very much, very, very, very much.
It's fine after it.
Yeah. I think because I've spoken to a few people afterwards, and like even now, and they don't hate me for it now because obviously it was the eating disorder that was like telling them I hate this guy. But yeah, it wasn't great at the time. I think we've definitely gone through all the questions now. I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about, really? Or we've been on for an hour, so
that's gonna be a long upload.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna edit it when we're done. It's gonna take a while, but yeah.
What I'd recommend. What I'd recommend if you are going through a stage where you are struggling or you want to recover and you having any issues, just be truthful about it. Don't keep things back. One of the hardest things for me was I lied a lot to try and make sure that I didn't get recovery. A lot of my things, they're just talking, they're just lying. I do eat, blah, 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 blah. But I knew I was ill. the best thing you can do for yourself is be honest as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've tried to highlight in so many things. Like when I was writing a blog, while I was in hospital, I was telling the things that I was owning up to. Like there was something where I actually wrote down all of my bad habits, and I gave it to someone and said, "Look, can you just look out for these? Because I know that I won't trust myself to stop myself from doing it." Definitely good. That's definitely good advice.
Yeah, because that really set back my recovery because I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to get over it. It was embarrassing to say all that sort of stuff. But as soon as you start admitting that with yourself and with a therapist or even your family, it's going to get you further to recovery. And trust me, you do not want to. You get a lot of pro anorexics and that sort of stuff, and that's just bad. That's not going to help anybody.
It's promoting illness, which is wrong.
Yeah, it's not. So obviously we had loads of stuff on the video and a lot of death threats that came in and stuff like that. There were some really horrible ones that mum and dad got. It's things like that don't help. So obviously if you do come on this channel, on Simon Shane, you start doing stuff like don't, because you're going to affect someone. You might just be doing it to troll someone, but you are going to affect someone's life. So just have a bit of respect and just try and be nice. I know in the world of the internet, you're going to get trolls. I deal with my own channel. You get a lot of trolls and you just take it. But these are people who have illnesses. You have mental health illnesses. You struggle with depression, anxiety and whatnot. And you're coming on and they might be looking on this video or in the comments for help to try and get a bit of support. And
yeah,
just think before you post. And if you do come across troll comments and stuff, don't take that personally. That person's just a troll. It's not aimed at you. So careful.
Wow, that's excellent. I think that's a good point to end it now. But I think we should definitely do something again in the future. And if anyone else has got any suggestions, I think they should let us know. Really. But yeah, cool. All right, I think I'll just click stop now. And
are you sure? Are you sure it's the right button? It's not delete.
Final answer in the 1 minute. I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, stop.
You're gonna delete it.